Please see broken bar, can you pretend to be my boyfriend for a day? Those words spilled from her lips before she even realized what she was saying, and the man she asked, a grease-covered mechanic with kind eyes, froze mid-motion. Wrench in hand, he blinked at her, trying to process what had just happened. He didn't know that behind her nervous smile was a story full of heartbreak, humiliation, and one last desperate attempt to protect her dignity. And she, broken bar, didn't know that the man she was asking wasn't just a mechanic, but the CEO of one of the largest auto companies in the country. It all began on a chilly Saturday morning. Lila Carter, a 26-year-old event planner, sat in her car on the side of a quiet road, her hands gripping the steering wheel as her engine refused to start. She was late, out terribly late. Today wasn't just any day, it was her ex-boyfriend's engagement party. The same man who had left her a year ago claiming she wasn't good enough for his lifestyle. The same man who had humiliated her in front of everyone by calling her too average. But she wasn't going to show up broken. No, not today. She had promised herself she'd walk into that event with her head high and her heart strong. But fate, it seemed, had other plans, so the car wouldn't start. Her phone was dying, and the clock was racing. Then, as she stepped out of her car in frustration, she saw him, a tall man in a gray t-shirt, his hands stained with engine oil, leaning over an open hood across the street. He was working on a vintage car, humming softly to himself. Something about his calm focus caught her attention. Desperation pushed her forward. "Excuse me," she called out. "My car just a broken bar died. Could you maybe help?" The man looked up, wiping his hands on a cloth. His eyes were a shade of gray that almost looked like steel, sharp but gentle. "Sure thing," he said simply, walking over. His voice carried a quiet confidence, like someone who'd seen enough of life to never rush it. Within minutes, he was under her hood, adjusting wires and checking connections. "Battery's weak," he muttered. "Give me a second." When he turned the key, the car roared to life again. Relief flooded her face. "You're a lifesaver," Lila said, smiling gratefully. He shrugged. "Just doing my job." "I'm Daniel." "Lila," she replied. That should have been the end of Ida, but then her phone buzzed. A message from her ex's sister. "Everyone's waiting. Can't wait to meet your new boyfriend you mentioned." Lila froze. Her stomach twisted. She had bragged weeks ago that she was seeing some India just to save face. Now, she was out of options. The panic must have shown on her face, because Daniel asked softly, "You okay?" And that's when the wild, ridiculous idea slipped out before she could stop herself. "Can you, a broken bar, pretend to be my boyfriend, just for today?" The silence that followed was heavy. Daniel blinked, surprised, but then, instead of laughing or refusing, he tilted his head. "Pretend to be your boyfriend?" She nodded frantically. "Just for one day, please. I'll pay you. Or whatever you want. I just can't walk in there alone." He studied her for a moment, then smiled faintly. "You don't have to pay me. Boat to broken bar, I'll do it." An hour later, Lila was walking into a grand estate, hand in hand with Daniel. Everyone's eyes turned toward Emma, the average girl, and her unexpectedly charming boyfriend. He looked surprisingly elegant, even in his simple button-up and dark jeans. He carried himself with quiet grace, and when he smiled at her, it felt disarmingly real. Her ex, Ethan, was the first to approach. His smug grin faltered slightly when he saw Daniel. "Lila, a broken bar, you didn't say your boyfriend looked like that." Daniel extended his hand casually. "Daniel Hart," he said. "Nice to meet you." Ethan hesitated, shaking his hand, unsure what to make of the man before him. The grip was firm and too confident for an average mechanic. There was something commanding about Daniel's posture, something refined that didn't fit the part. But Ethan brushed it off, forcing a laugh. "So, what do you do, Daniel?" Danielle smiled easily. "A little bit of everything. Fix things mostly." Lila held her breath, trying not to laugh. She could see Ethan's discomfort growing. Throughout the party, Daniel played the role perfectly, a gentle, funny, protective. He poured her a drink, complimented her ideas when she spoke, and looked at her with such genuine admiration that people began whispering, maybe she did move on. But for Lila, it wasn't just a performance anymore. Each moment with Daniel felt a broken bar different. The way he noticed when her hands trembled slightly, how he shielded her from her ex's mocking tone, or how his eyes softened when she smiled up. It all felt real. At one point, while everyone was distracted, Lila leaned closer and whispered, "You're too good at this. You've done this before?" He chuckled. "Let's just say I've learned how to read people." When the night ended, and they walked back to her car, Lila exhaled deeply. "I can't thank you enough," she said. "You're amazing." Danielle smiled. "You don't have to thank me. You just needed someone to remind Thema and maybe yourself that you're worth more than they ever saw." His words hit deeper than she expected. She looked up at him, wondering who he really was. There was something in his glasses, something deeper than the surface. "Can I at least buy you dinner?" she asked softly. He laughed. "I'd like that." A week later, she showed up at his garage with takeout and a bright smile. But as she walked in, she saw him speaking to someone in a suit. His demeanor completely different. Calm, authoritative. When he noticed her, he excused himself quickly. "Hey," he greeted, smiling warmly. "Who was that?" she asked, curious. He hesitated, then sighed. "Someone from work. Must be important," she teased. "Kind of. He's from my board of directors." "Board of directors?" Danielle scratched his neck, embarrassed. "I was going to tell you broken bar, but I didn't want it to matter. I'm not just a mechanic. I own this garage and about 50 more. I'm the CEO of Heart Motors." Lila blinked, stunned. "Yuri broken bar would..." He shrugged. "I love fixing things. Keeps me grounded. But yeah, I run the company too." For a moment, she didn't know what to say. Then she laughed softly. "So, the CEO pretended to be my boyfriend." He smiled, stepping closer. "And somewhere along the way, a broken bar, I stopped pretending." Her heart skipped. His words hung in the air, warm and sincere. Months later, when they walked hand in hand into another event, this time as a real couple, the same whispers followed them. But Lila didn't care. She wasn't the insecure girl from before. She was confident, radiant, and deeply loved. As Daniel looked at her under the golden lights, he whispered, "Still think I should just be your pretend boyfriend?" She smiled, eyes glistening. "Number, I think I want the real one this time." Message, sometimes, the people who walk into your life during your weakest moments aren't there to play a part, they're there to remind you of your worth. Love doesn't always come wrapped in luxury or perfection. Sometimes, it comes with grease-stained hands and a heart that's real. Would you like me to break this story into 10 paragraph-based video prompts for voice-over scripting and scene direction? Next, like your previous ones,